A 12-year-old was assaulted in Baltimore County, and it was all caught on camera. The video got millions of views from people all over the world. But weeks later, the victim is still waiting for justice. WMAR-2 News Elizabeth Worthington spoke to the boy's father and his attorneys, and she joins us now to share why they're concerned these kids are just going to get away with it. Elizabeth?
Yeah, Kelly, even with attention from people in the White House, national outrage, and two attorneys offering their services pro bono, the victim's father and his attorneys say there is zero urgency behind this case. He could only stomach the first few seconds of the video at first, but eventually Tony Longo would watch the entire 4 minutes of his son, 12-year-old Kayson, getting beat up by several kids. At one point, they strip him of his clothes. Even when he's finally able to walk away, they jump him again. When he's trying to put his shoes back on, he's hit in the head. It was merciless, and it went viral, even getting the attention of Elon Musk. But it failed to really grab the attention of the people who could hold the perpetrators accountable, those in the Department of Juvenile Services. Longo wanted to file a protective order, but was told he needed the names of the attackers. DJS won't provide them.
I feel like we're stonewalled. We're a victim, and I feel like we're being treated like the criminals.
Even when attorneys Adele Brockmeyer and Jack Turnbull got involved, they say they too were met with indifference.
It's scary that we're two attorneys that know what is supposed to happen, right, and we're putting their feet to the fire and they're just not doing anything. So what happens if you're just by yourself?
If adults committed these crimes, I could have a peace order against those adults. They would be identified, the police officer would give me their identity, and I would go to the district court and have a peace order by lunchtime.
Here's the timeline of what's happened so far. The assault was on March 7th. Baltimore County Police identified 8 of the juveniles in the video, and on March 12th, 5 of them were arrested on second-degree assault charges. Police said the other 3 were too young to be charged. State's Attorney Scott Schellenberger tells WMAR-2 News they were younger than 13, and kids that young can only be charged with a crime of violence. Second-degree assault is not considered one. But even for the 5 who were arrested, they were let go for now. For any formal court action, DJS needs to forward the case to the state's attorney's office. Maryland law gives DJS 15 business days to begin that process. The attorneys were told by DJS intake conferences for the teens are scheduled for April 1st and April 2nd, and a formal intake decision will be made within 15 days after that.
So now we'll be at the end of April before any decision is even made, and this occurred on March the 7th.
In the meantime, the perpetrators are free to threaten Kayson at school, which they've done, and Kayson is living in fear.
It's telling all the other kids, hey, you can do things like this, and we will be back in school the next day. The only person that missed school was Kayson, the victim of this crime.
I have to face my son every night. And what can you do to protect me, Dad? What are you doing to protect me?
The state's attorney's office confirms that so far he has received 1 case file for 1 of the juveniles, and he'll start working on it. DJS declined to comment for this story.
So, Elizabeth, were they finally able to file a protective order at least?
They were finally able to request one. So remember, DJS wouldn't provide the names, so the state's attorney's office did, because they say, hey, we believe that you're entitled to this information as the victim. So once they got that information, they were able to fill out the paperwork to submit the request, and DJS still has 15 business days from the request to decide whether or not to even grant the protective order.
What an awful story for that family. All right, Elizabeth Worthington, thanks so much for that report.